Hey everybody, welcome to Big Balls Fantasy Football, the only show with powerful picks, sexy super fans, and that's really fun. I'm your host, 20-year fantasy veteran, Greg Reifstead.
And I'm your co-host, Jenilee, a 10-year fantasy veteran, and together we are the beauty
and the beast
of fantasy football experts.
Prost is going to love this because I'm going to change one word in a song that he really likes, and I'm going to sing it. Oh, the Bears, we suck. 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 We really, 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 really suck. Oh, the Bears, we suck. Oh, yeah. I'm wearing black, and she's giving up on the season.
Absolutely. I basically am. As you can see, Zoe and I are in our Bulls gear because, let's face it, it is time for all Chicago fans to move on to basketball and to hockey.
Mm-hmm.
So go Bulls, go Blackhawks.
Yeah.
It's just, it's been a complete bust of a season.
Mm-hmm.
We are the laughingstock of the NFL.
Yep.
People are laughing at our team more than the Raiders, more than the Jaguars,
That's
more
bad.
than the Jets. It is just, people cannot figure out what is going on in Chicago because there's so many problems.
Well, you see, their teams have much lower, salaries for their players, and we are paying one of the most expensive quarterbacks this season to play, and he can't produce points. He can't beat the Packers. Either of the two games, he should be beating the Packers. And you have the two best receivers in the game from last year, Alshon Jeffrey and Brandon Marshall, and they can't get scores either.
Yeah, of course. And there were high expectations for this team, which is another thing. You know, everyone pretty much expected this team to make the playoffs, make a pretty deep run into the playoffs. And obviously that is not going to happen. Cutler is the highest paid NFL player of 2014.
Yes, which is why people have kind of gotten a little ugly in Chicago. We haven't quite gotten that ugly. We're just like refusing to wear the Bears on the show or having, sorry, we have a little Bears down here, but that's about it. Otherwise, screw it. You know, you're going to have to earn we're fans, but you're going to have to earn your way back into our hearts because you broke them, especially in Sunday night's game against the Packers. That was the ugliest bunch of football Jenilee or I have ever seen.
Yeah, it was terrible. And the thing is there's not one problem with the team. The offense sucks. The defense sucks. The special teams sucks. They are horrible.
We have special teams?
They will not
What
just
special
take
teams?
a knee in the end zone on a kickoff and start at the 20. They run it out every time. They don't even get close to the 20. We had 160-something yards of penalties. We had 11 penalties in the game. I mean, all three phases have completely broken down. And to me, when that happens with a team, you have to look at the head coach. You have to look at the coaching. Because right now, I don't think players are buying in to Trestman's system at all.
People made death threats on Trestman and on his daughter via Twitter. So that's how ugly it's getting.
Which is
Chicago.
wrong. Shouldn't do that no matter
We're
what.
not condoning that, but I mean, it's getting that bad. That's happening. People are burning their Cutler jerseys. One of the most popular videos going viral right now is the guy throwing his Cutler jersey with gasoline onto his empty grill and lighting it up, which made national news. You know, it even made TMZ, for Christ's sake. When your team is that bad, your fans are going to be pissed off and they're going to do stupid things like this. And I just want to say, you know, words are one thing, but let's not turn into like the Oakland Raiders. Sorry, Raider fans, but you guys kind of take the cake when it comes to,
violence. Yeah, let's not get violent. But, it is just, it's been so bad.
Yeah.
So bad. And the thing is I said a few weeks ago that I finally said I cannot back Cutler anymore. I have backed him. I've given him every excuse in the book, and I just can't do it anymore. And I keep listening to Chicago radio, and more fans are calling in saying the same thing, saying, hey, I've been a Cutler fan. I've really tried to root him on. I've really believed in him, but I just can't do it anymore. He is who he is. He sucks. We need to get rid of him.
Yeah, well, at the bare minimum, I made a bunch of memes that I put on our Big Balls Fantasy Football Facebook site. And one of the ones I made was good old Jimmy Clausen, passing the ball and Trestman in back of him. If we're not going to change the coach, it was like, hey, let's get the Trestman era started. And I made the meme, hey, Clausen, you want to come in and save my ass? You know, and that's about it. You know, we were down by 45 points at the half on Sunday Night Football, and our damn coach wouldn't put Clausen in and just let this horrible, horrible game ride out. And it still baffles my mind, because anybody else that's down by 45 points, they'd be like, we need a change. We need a change. And they would not. And it's like Trestman, I'm sure you would like to address the fine press conference he gave the next day after the game, which was just completely delusional.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's another reason I can't wear my Bears gear right now, because I was insulted. My intelligence was insulted as a fan when our head coach comes out and says, quote, "The locker room and the players are in a good place right now." How the hell is anybody in a good place right now? First of all, that has to be an out-and-out lie, because nobody should be in a good place right now. We're 3-6. Again, we've been embarrassed 2 weeks in a row. How do you come out of a bye week and play like that is beyond me. You got worse after having a week extra to prepare for a team. It's so upsetting that he can go up there and lie like that. Nobody's fired, so if I'm a player, I'm not scared of him. I'm going to go out there, earn my paycheck, maybe give half-ass effort, because he's not firing any coaches. He's not firing any assistants.
Well, you're using the word fire. He's not fired up at all. I have another analogy, for crying out loud. Him saying that is like driving down the street and your car catches on fire underneath your hood, and you like keep driving because, well, the car still it still works. Yeah. I'll just keep driving. The car is on fire. Our car, the engine of the car is on fire. We're dumping gasoline all over the road.
But there's no repercussions.
No, exactly.
So
he's just driving the car.
There's no respect for him. There can't be any respect for him. Is all I'm seeing from the players, because it's not even like we're losing like the Jaguars or like Oakland or the Jets, where they're losing, but there's effort on the field. They are working their butt off to at least try. The Bears aren't even working their butt off to try in these games. I mean, you can tell the entire team has given up.
It's week 11. We're going into a game versus the Vikings, and hell, one of your picks is even going against them this week. So, I mean, that's how bad it's gotten that we're even going against our Bears in fantasy, because you just have to in fantasy. Yeah. You can't resist it. You just can't resist it. You got to start playing your defenses against the Bears, because
there's a complete lack of effort, and Cutler doesn't even look like he cares.
No.
I mean, my gosh.
No, not at all. Nobody's fired up. Nobody's upset about this. Everybody's just kind of sitting there going. So, really quick fantasy numbers for the game. Just pathetic. Bears were abysmal. Cutler, 272, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. It's the opposite of your ratio. And he even threw a lost fumble in there just to, kind of add insult to injury. Forte, 54 yards rushing. The only one trying on the team. 3 receptions for 27 yards. Got you halfway decent in fantasy. Definitely not horrible. It would have been nice if he would have gotten a touchdown.
Yeah, or gone over 100 yards on the almost worst-ranked run defense in the league.
Well, the problem is, Coach started getting pass-happy when he panicked. So it's not Forte's fault if he's not on the field. Yeah. He can't make the yards for you on fantasy. 8 receptions, 112 yards, 1 touchdown for B. Marsh, 6 receptions, 63 yards for the top receiver in the league from last season, Alshon Jeffrey, and Bennett, nothing. Defense gave up 451 yards total.
And most of the Brandon Marshall stuff was in garbage time. It didn't matter by that point. Yeah. But he got you some fantasy points.
Yeah. Let's beat on him a little bit more.
Yeah. Well,
since we don't have a Cutler jersey to burn, and we wouldn't condone that anyway.
This is really what is going on with the Bears. This is how bad it really is. Historic levels. The Bears are the only team in the NFL with 4 skill position Pro Bowl players. They have 4 Pro Bowl players at the skill position, and they still cannot do anything on offense. They've been outscored 106-37 in the last 2 weeks. They've given up 11 touchdowns. 2 weeks in a row, they've set franchise worst records for points allowed in the first half as long as the Bears franchise has been around. Cutler is now 1-11 against the Packers. That includes the playoffs, so you do not have a quarterback that can beat your worst rival. He has 18 touchdowns and 15 turnovers this season. He has fumbled 5 more times, but the Bears recovered them. So he actually has 10 fumbles on the season. He only lost 5 of them. They're the second team in the NFL to give up back-to-back 50-plus point games. That has not happened since 1923, Rochester Jefferson.
1923, a team that isn't even in the league anymore. Jesus Christ.
And Green Bay's 42-0 lead was the second largest halftime deficit in NFL history. The last 3 games, this one will boggle your mind. In the last 3 games the Bears have played, they have been outscored 94-7 in the first half.
Wow. 7 points. 7 points. That's it.
In the first half of 3 games, and they've been outscored by 94 points.
It's insane.
Yeah.
That's insane.
So that should let you see how bad it is. We are breaking the worst kind of NFL records you can break for the entire history of the league.
Yeah. Well, thank goodness later in the show we're going to have the second half of our balls profile that we ran the first half of last week. You can also watch the whole thing if you want, but we're giving you the second half to break it up a little bit, make it a little bit more digestible. Peyton Manning. Somebody that can actually play.
A quarterback that's good.
In the league and has broken many, many records.
That deserves his money.
Yes, this season. So watch for that. And don't forget to catch us on social media. You can tweet us all of your Bears bile. We will love it at BigBallsFBall. You can go to our website, www.bigballsfantasyfootball.com, to find all of our social media.
Yep, and Facebook us, of course. Like us there. Ask us your fantasy lineup questions because we're getting into the nitty-gritty now in fantasy to make the playoffs. And that is facebook.com/bigballsfantasyfootball. And
we actually do still have a podcast. We do have a podcast. It's basically the audio from this. If you can't watch us, you don't want to be sitting there with your phone while you're driving. So, download the podcast. You can listen to us on Sunday morning while you're driving to your job or whatever, so you can make sure you get your fantasy football lineup in on time. So I think I'm first this week, right?
Yes, you are. Beast Mode is first.
All right. Beast Mode is next. Stay tuned. Hey everybody, welcome to Beast Mode here in Week 11 on Big Balls Fantasy Football. I'm Greg the Beast with 3 picks for you this week that are really going to count because I know there are a lot of tight races going into some possible, playoff matchups. I know it's a curse in a lot of leagues to go in at first place, but God damn it, you want to be in first place at this time of the season. And there's a lot of tight races. I know I'm in a few leagues where there are teams that are within 1 game of each other. So these picks are really going to count. Also, you're welcome for the Bills defense for last week. That'd have been going crazy for you. Also, who the hell knew Mark Sanchez was going to do as good as he was going to do on Monday Night Football? I know he, had a few little mishaps, but all in all, for fantasy, you take 25 points out of Mark Sanchez, you're damn happy as a replacement quarterback over there in Philly. So let's get down to it. My first pick this week is Mark Ingram, running back on the Saints. He has a fantastic matchup this week against the 30th ranked, yes, that's the 30th ranked defense in the league, are the Bengals. Wow, how the Panthers and Bengals defenses have both fallen. They both used to be pretty damn elite, not anymore. So you have to play this matchup. It's a one-balls pick, obviously. It's just a running back that hopefully will just, well, not hopefully, I'm saying he's going to run the hell out of that damn defense. He rushed for 27 yards, 120 yards in New Orleans last week in the overtime loss against the Niners. He also got 3 catches for 19 yards. On top of that, he's had 3 straight 100-yard games. You got to play him. You got to get him in there. Ingram, he's just been going completely insane. With Jimmy Graham back and Drew Brees having him as a target, again, it opens up the field. It stretches the field. It allows Brees to throw the ball more. It also allows Ingram to run more. So everybody, even Colston got like a few looks this week, and he never gets looks. So overtime helped too, I know in the stats, but Bengals, it's not going to be that type of a game. I think it's going to be, pretty much a one-sided game. He had 172 yards in Green Bay in Week 8 and 100 yards against the Panthers in Week 9. My second pick is Mike Evans, big, huge-bodied wide receiver on Tampa Bay. He has just been streaking. He's a 2.5 balls pick because you're playing the trends. He had 7 receptions, 125 yards, and a touchdown last week. This week, it's against the Redskins. Their defense is pretty high ranked. They're up there at number 10, but I still think he's going to get some balls out there. They're not all just going to go to Vincent Jackson. Evans has been streaking the last 2-3 weeks in fantasy and has been getting you really good points. 28 fantasy points against Cleveland Week 9, 7 receptions, 124 yards, and 2 touchdowns. For a rookie, they're finally letting him get the ball. They're finally letting him emerge, catch him while he's on a streak. A lot of people picked him up 2 weeks ago and are losing out on it. He might still be out on a few waiver wires, and if you do have him, it's a must-play this week. My third pick for you this week is Odell Beckham Jr., the very acrobatic and very exciting wide receiver of the New York Giants. He is a high-risk, high-balls pick at 3 balls because he is playing against the very high-ranked Niners defense this week. But he played the Legion of Boom last week, Seattle, and burned them for over 100 yards. 7 passes, 108 yards to be exact, in the 38-17 loss they had against Seattle. When you are able to beat Richard Sherman, you should be able to go apeshit up against the Niners D. So you got to get in Beckham this week. He has been going crazy ever since Victor Cruz got injured and was out. But he was doing good before then, not crazy fantasy-wise, but now that Cruz is completely out of the picture, he has been getting the looks, he's been getting the targets, he's been getting the balls from Eli Manning. You got to get him in your lineup. He is a must-play every week, even against tough defenses. I know in fantasy, you get the little red marking up there, whatever you use, Yahoo or NFL or whatever league you're in, they'll give you the warning. Don't play him against this tough defense. A very dynamic receiver like this, I say you get him in. I say make a ballsy pick. Over the last 3 weeks, Beckham has totaled 19 catches for 298 yards with 2 touchdowns, getting fantasy managers at least 20 points a week. That you can't back off from. You got to get him in your lineup this week. So let's go on to Jenilee's Real Men. Stay tuned.
I need a real man. Have you seen him?
Hi everyone, and welcome to my Real Men segment. If you didn't watch our intro, you might be wondering why on a football show I'm wearing a Bulls jersey and Zoe's wearing a Bulls jersey, but that's because our Bears suck, and so it's time for Chicago fans to move on to basketball and hockey. So I'm boycotting the Bears at this very moment. But I have 3 good fantasy picks for all of you this week. My first pick is running back LeSean McCoy. He's a 2-balls pick, and why he's a 2-balls pick is because he's getting vultured a little bit by Darren Sproles and even by their third running back, Polk. So he only has 2 touchdowns on the season, which kind of sucks. He's not been giving you the McCoy-like points that he normally does, but this is a great week to put him in, and hopefully he'll get you 15 to 20 fantasy points. That's what I'm looking for in my leagues. Why you want to play him this week is they're playing Green Bay in Green Bay, and Green Bay is 30th against the run. So I'm hoping that Chip Kelly is going to be a lot smarter than Trestman was last week and run the ball against this crappy run defense that Green Bay has. They're giving up an average of 142.6 rushing yards per game. So another thing that's going on is it's going to be very cold in Green Bay. It's only supposed to be in the 20s, about 24 degrees out there. That is perfect weather to be running the ball more so than passing. I know everyone got really high on how Mark Sanchez played on Monday Night Football against the Panthers, but I don't think he's going to have as easy of a time. The Panthers secondary is pretty damn bad, so it looked like he was a genius out there. But Green Bay's secondary is playing very, very good. I think the Eagles need to lean on the run in this game a lot more than they did against the Panthers. And, of course, you want to control the clock. You want to keep Aaron Rodgers off the field. The best way to do that is to run the ball. So go ahead and get McCoy in your lineup this week. I think he could go for over 100 yards. Hopefully it's another touchdown if he doesn't get vultured by those other two backs. My second pick for this week is quarterback Teddy Bridgewater. He is a 4 balls pick. This is a ballsy one. If you're in trouble in quarterback, though, he's out there in every league. Why this is a 4 balls pick is because he doesn't have more than 1 passing touchdown in any game this season yet so far. But if there's a week for him to do it, it's this week because the Vikings play the Bears, and the Bears are horrible on defense this season. The Bears have given up 11 passing touchdowns and 669 passing yards in the last 2 weeks. They are having coverage breakdowns. All of the secondary, most of them aren't even on the same page. Some of them are playing man-to-man. Some of them are playing cover 3 on the same play, and that is causing things to break down. So the defense is just out there having a ton of issues for the Bears. The last 2 weeks, he has passed for over 200 yards, a touchdown, and no interceptions. So he's getting those interceptions cleaned up a lot. He also runs the ball. He has 95 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown. So I think this week he's going to throw for over 200, probably over 250 yards. And I think he could get you 2 touchdowns this week instead of only the 1 touchdown. Gosh, maybe even 3 because my Bears are that bad. So get him in your lineup if you're desperate at quarterback. And my third pick for this week is wide receiver Kelvin Benjamin. He's a 2 balls pick. He's a 2 on the scale because he's a rookie. He's a little inconsistent, but he is Cam's #1 target. Sometimes he faces some double coverage, which makes it a little bit difficult for him as well. So that's why I put him at a 2 instead of a 1 balls. They play Atlanta this week, though, and Atlanta is dead last in passing defense. So Atlanta is not doing anything against the pass. And Benjamin has a team-high 85 targets on the season and 7 touchdowns. So Cam is constantly looking to get him the ball. They really want to get him the ball when Cam is throwing. Atlanta has given up 100-yard games to Mike Evans, Golden Tate, Brandon Marshall, Alshon Jeffrey, Jarius Wright, and Marcus Colston this season. So all of those wide receivers have over 100 yards on this ATL secondary. I think Benjamin could do it this week. I know he had a couple touchdowns in garbage time against the Eagles, but oh well, it's fantasy. You still got those points. I think he's going to do it, though, in regular time that hopefully isn't garbage time. And this is an important game for both Carolina and Atlanta. Carolina is 3-6-1. Atlanta is 3-6. The Saints are only 4-5. So that division right now is up for grabs. This game is in Carolina, an important one for them to win. So go ahead, get Benjamin in your lineup. I think that he'll do a lot better this game than he did against the Eagles. So those are my 3 picks for this week, and we have the Balls profile of Peyton Manning. We have part 2 of it next, so stay tuned for that.
So everybody got sad and thought, uh-oh, the Peyton Manning fantasy train is over, right? So he goes through the surgeries. I think he went. I just read an article when we were researching this. They said he got 2 surgeries. I think he got a secret 3rd and 4th surgery. That was what they were talking about. I don't know, conspiracy. Anyway, so there were all these rumors that he can barely throw a ball, and he was out there playing with other other players and trying to get loose, and they're like, he's never going to play again. But then the Broncos signed him. The Broncos ended up signing him after rehabbing. He reached a 5-year contract with John Elway's Broncos for $96 million and 5 years on March 20th of 2012, and he was back. So of course there was all this speculation: is he going to come right on the field and just like choke and just like suck? And there was a preseason game that he looked horrible in.
Well, and that was the year, obviously, fantasy-wise. You know, no one was drafting him high. He wasn't going in the first or second round.
Except
for the most part.
I've told this story on here before. My crazy former boss, and yes, I'm going to call her out by name, Terry. Yes, I won't give her last name, but everybody thought she was a fool. And her, well, her last name is Hillis because she drafted Peyton Hillis, her cousin, her real cousin, to be. She picked Peyton Manning first in the draft as her first round, and we're like, what the hell? And she had like the second pick in the draft, so we're like, okay. And her second pick in the second round was Peyton Hillis, and she called her team Peyton Place. And that was it. So we're like, she's insane. She's fucking Looney Tunes.
I mean, it's a huge risk to take fantasy-wise.
And as I will talk about, and it's a quote that we use on our podcast intro, you had to be a psychic with elephant nuts to fucking pick him. But my boss turned out to be a genius, and she was just destroying people. Destroying people. So 2012 starts, of course, in a sea of doubt, a little bit of optimism, come on. And John Elway, banked a lot on him. Is he going to fit into this new offense? Is he going to be able to play with the new people that he has? He was used to throwing to Reggie Wayne all the time. So is he going to be able to gel? Well, he had two pretty damn good weapons, Eric Decker and Demaryius Thomas, and it turned out pretty damn well for him. His first touchdown actually went to Demaryius Thomas, 71-yard bomb in the first regular season game, which also turned out to be his 400th touchdown of his career. What a milestone. And, I mean, little did we know he was going to end up hitting, the next milestone. But, damn, 400 touchdowns? That's wild. September 9th, 2012, he won the game 31-19. Peyton is back on the map. So we thought. Then I remember watching the next game afterward. And do you remember what happened in that game against Atlanta?
I don't remember totally.
I remember watching it, and I was texting you, and I was laughing my ass off at him. Sorry, Peyton. 3 picks within, the first, 7 minutes.
Okay.
He just kept throwing them, and everybody's like, oh, no. The wheels are coming off. It turned out just fine. I mean, they lost that game 27-21 versus Atlanta. It showed his vulnerability. It was just kind of like, okay, everything's not going to be perfect. He doesn't have his timing down with his receivers yet. But, I mean, fantasy-wise, you actually were still doing okay and making points. He had a few more bumps in the road. Had a bad game against the Houston Texans. Also, of course, played his arch nemesis, Tom Brady. That didn't work out well at all.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yep. Against Darth Vader. Damn you, Brian and Belichick. So, finally, he ended the season with a 13-3 record. They won the AFC West thanks to offensive coordinator Mike McCoy, who ended up, he's had a few great seasons with Peyton over there and ended up getting a job with the Chargers, Smash's team.
Yep.
And she's pretty happy with him over there. So Peyton ended with 37 touchdowns of fantasy gold, 4,659 yards, 11 picks. There's your ratio there. Fell well within it. Not bad for a guy who it was like his neck's fucked up. His career is over.
Oh yeah, and I believe that was Demaryius Thomas's rookie season. I
yes,
think.
It was.
So
he went
that was another thing. He had a rookie receiver that he was really. If you talk to Demaryius Thomas or if you've heard him talk, he talks about how Peyton Manning has tutored him into this league. I mean, Peyton Manning is the reason Demaryius Thomas is Demaryius Thomas. So he took that rookie receiver and molded him.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he helped Eric Decker out, too. I mean, Eric Decker's doing pretty damn well over on the Jets, considering, who he has to work with.
Yeah.
So, I think he's mentored a lot of receivers coming up through the years. So, was this just a one-season fluke? What do you think?
I don't think it was.
Oh, especially from the first game in the next season. Holy crap. So, You know,
this is the game I remember for sure.
Fantasy-wise, everybody goes into this draft, and of course, Peyton Manning isn't a foolish pick now. He's up in the top 5.
Right.
He's up there with Rodgers. He's up there with Brady.
He's going in your first round.
He's a must-take after getting all those touchdowns, low interceptions, high yards. So he also had 2 new weapons. A lot of people drafted.
Zoe, come here. She wants to talk about Peyton Manning.
Come on, Peyton Manning.
Come on.
Peyton Manning, get on up here.
Come talk about Peyton Manning with us.
So he had 2 new weapons in his arsenal. Wes Welker, that they brought in from the Patriots, who has been going fantasy crazy except for this season because of some substance abuse problems. But Orange Julius Thomas, who they had drafted in the 4th round, 129th overall in the 2011 draft.
Another guy for him to mentor.
Mm-hmm. And the first game, as you said, kind of worked out for him. I remember watching this. The 7-touchdown romp. Just an insane 7-touchdown romp. Ray Lewis is gone from the Ravens. Oops. And they got bit. And it was 7 touchdowns, just like an insane game. You know, teams week after week after week just got like decimated. You know, in that game it was like 60 points, and you're like, holy shit, 60 fantasy points?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I remember being like, thank goodness I didn't play against him that, you know what I mean, that week in any of my leagues, because I was like, man, if you played against him, forget it. I mean, you're 0-1.
And that was the game that coined getting Manninged, because people were like, how the hell am I going to put this together out of this? And you were just screwed.
Yeah.
You were just completely screwed. That game, 2 touchdowns, Orange Julius, 2 touchdowns to Wes Welker, and to Demaryius Thomas. And Andre Caldwell got a little piece of the pie on one toss into the end zone. Going on with the year, week 3 against the Oakland Raiders, Manning broke the record for the most touchdown passes in the first 3 games this season by hitting 12. That was surpassing Tom Brady's 2011 record. So, yes, he beat Tom Brady at something. He must have been damn happy. Week 16 against the Texans, got a little bit comeuppance from the last season. He broke Brady's record for the most touchdown passes in a season with 51 on a 25-yard touchdown to Julius Thomas to, you know, cap a damn good season of fantasy. It was just great. 55 touchdowns, 5,477 yards. Each week he'd pepper you when he didn't do 7 again, but he'd get you at least 3, he'd get you 4, he'd get you 5. When I'm researching this, I'm just like, holy cow.
Best season of his career.
Definitely. 450 completions, tied the record for second most of all time. Just like insane. Broncos scored a record 606 points. 606 points by one team in one season. First team ever to eclipse 600. It's nuts. Every week you'd see Peyton coming. And I mean, that's what you do now on the Broncos. It's really scary.
Sucked playing against him. I mean, that week you were playing against him, you're like, oh man, just hope that he has like 2 touchdowns only, you know, instead of 4.
And no, you get 3, 4, 5. I played against him quite a few times. Bad. So we're coming up on this season, 2014, and of course another year of milestones for him. Another year. He's the bionic man. I know I call AP this, but yet another player. You know, his neck's messed up, goes through all these surgeries, nerve damage. He'll never play again. I know I keep saying that, but on October 5th, just recently, he threw his 500th career touchdown pass again to Julius Thomas. Kind of works out.
Demaryius.
Oh, that was Demaryius. Sorry, that was Demaryius Thomas. That's right. Against the Cardinals, he tied Dan Marino for the most 400-yard games by a quarterback. On October 19th, against the Niners, Peyton Manning threw... No, see, Julius Thomas was the 500th. 509.
Oh.
Everybody gets their Thomases mixed up. Everybody gets them mixed up. Julius Thomas caught the 500, and then on October 19th, the day after my birthday, to the 49ers, he threw 509 to Demaryius. beating Brett Favre's record, beating another Brett Favre record. I don't think Brett Favre thought that Peyton Manning would be playing that long while he was sitting around getting his hair trimmed, according to the commercial, and also with his Wrangler jeans, sitting on his ass, sitting around having brunch with Steve Marinucci. I'm sorry. That was just wrong, Brett. That was just wrong. That's for you, Prost. Currently, his stats for the season, 24 touchdowns, 2,572 passing yards, and 5 picks through 9 games.
That's insane. 24 touchdowns and only 5 interceptions.
Yeah.
I mean, and after going through that type of surgery, for him to be playing better than all those years he was with the Colts is just, I mean, I don't think we obviously haven't seen anything like it because he's breaking every record there is to break.
Well, that's why he's a bionic man. AP came back and played better after his injury than he did previously. And just a little piece of, well, we won't blow the profile with a piece of AP news. Anyway, his fantasy low this season was against the Jets in Week 6. This is his low in Week 6. 44 fantasy points in Yahoo average in your league, in your PPR league. That's the low. His high came with 75 points in Week 5 against Arizona. 75 points. Oh, yeah. Anyway, he's still a fantasy juggernaut, and, there's still 7 or 8 weeks left in the season. I mean, how many touchdowns do you think he's going to top out with? What do you think? He's already at 24.
I don't know. He did what? He did 55 last year. That's what he ended with. Well, he's already at 24. We're halfway done with the season. So, I mean, I think he could get 50.
Yeah, I think 50.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to have one of those crazy games like he had last season.
No, I think either 50 or, maybe closer to around 47, 48, but still, I mean.
Yeah.
And that's nuts. And, he, like I said, with the interceptions, he only has 5. So if he keeps on that realm, he could possibly only throw 10 or 12 interceptions on the season, which would be really impressive. Super impressive.
Well, that's our Balls profile for Peyton Manning. Congratulations, Peyton, from Big Balls Fantasy Football. And that's it for our show tonight, too, isn't it?
It is.
All right. Good night.
Good night.